Whoa. Hey. So I wanted to address a couple fallacies. I'm about to go run around right quick and do something. You know I got to use my hands whenever I'm recording videos of myself. A couple fallacies. So one of the things that I see all the time is people saying, because I talk about institutional control of the price action for AMC. And a lot of people will say, well, how can they control it? Because retail owns 80% of the float. But what you have to understand, I think the last time that I saw it, it was like institutions own between 5 to 10% of AMC's float. And I think that the other 10 to 15% is owned by AMC itself. And I'm not exact on those numbers, but don't quote me on it. So don't quote me on it. But even if it was just the 5%, right? If they only own the 5%. You have to understand that there's 500 million shares of AMC, right? That's the float. Retail is not nearly as coordinated, right, as institutions are. In one way, retail is very coordinated with AMC, but the narrative is just buy and hold. It's not a whole, hey, we're going to buy it this time, we're going to sell it this time. An institution with a ton of money has much more influence, even though it's much less of the float that they own. If they, in total, they still own, say it's 500 million shares, they still own, I don't know, what's 5% of 500 million? Oh no, he doesn't know math. Why are we listening to him? Just like whatever, 10 million? 20? I should have done my math before this, shouldn't I? It's like, I don't know, 100,000. 100 million would be 20%. So then half of that is 50 million. That's 10%. So 25 million, right? There you go. That's math. Should have been more prepared for the video, I guess. But let's say that one institution owns 5 million shares. If they sell 5 million shares, okay, that would be $150 million sell order, right? More, 200 million at this point, because it's like $40 a share, right? 200 million in a stock that has a $25 billion market cap. $200 million on the market all of a sudden is significant, and it's significant the other way. If they buy 200 million, it is a significant, insinuation of price. Like it is showing great confidence on both sides. So you just have to understand that even though retail owns the lion's share of shares, the ability to influence the price still is controlled by those who have the most as individuals, individual entities, institutions, right? So when I'm talking about Wyckoff and I'm talking about the volume lowering while the price lowering is a sign that institutions are accumulating, you have to understand that in that 80% of retail ownership, again, this goes back to the coordination of retail versus institutions, right? Within that 80% is day traders, swing traders, people who are just remotely interested in AMC. How much of that retail ownership is actually apes? Like apes that are just like, I'm going to hold until $100,000. How many is that? I mean, there's a lot of apes that say they'll hold to 1,000. There's a lot of apes that say that they'll hold to 10,000. There's a lot of apes that hold into whatever, right? Those narratives are shifted. Again, it goes back to coordination. Institutions buy and sell with large amounts of money, knowing exactly how they're going to enter and exactly how they plan to exit, right? It would require a large swath of retail traders combining their holdings and making decisions in the same manner together simultaneously to create the same effect. So we have to acknowledge that is a reality, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. See, if you can start to understand institutional trading behavior and understand that institutions are signaling to each other in a way, right? So, for example, if you're a smaller institution with, like, say you manage $100 million versus BlackRock, who manages like trillions of dollars in assets, and BlackRock goes in and they buy something, as that smaller institution, you're going to go, yeah, those guys could crush me if they wanted to. So yeah, I'm going to play their game. So when they see that lowering volume with lowering price as a result of the people who actually control the price, who have the ability to actually influence the price, which with much bigger holdings, it creates a cascading effect of institutions behaving the same way. See, even though they're not talking to each other, maybe they are, but I'm not here to allege that sort of thing, right? Let's just assume that they aren't for the purpose of the conversation. Even if they weren't coordinating with each other in that way, the result would still be the same. When the stock sells off in the morning, it creates that, like, dude, you got to understand, like, swing traders, they have stop losses in. Day traders have stop losses in. All that stuff. It'll cause this cascading sell-off. And then that sell-off leads to maybe some weaker hands retail going, oh, fuck, like, this thing's crashing. Like, I need to get out. Like, I just got in last week or something, right? Freak out. They sell. It causes more cascading. Then you have smaller retail accounts using margin, getting liquidated, right? Their positions getting liquidated. That's forced selling. It causes even more selling. This is how institutions do it. And so once you start to understand institution theology, like the way that they think about the market and the way that they can influence the market, and you start to play on their side, you can start to get, in my opinion, not financial advice, but this is the way that I am playing in the market, you can begin to accumulate and distribute at the same times as institutions. So, in my opinion, the best thing that we need to be doing as retail is we need to be learning Wyckoff, the Wyckoff theory. We need to start to begin to understand what signals institutions are sending us based on volume and price action. And just to break that down, short, sweet, and simple, okay? If price is going down and volume is going down, bullish. If price is going up and volume is going up, bullish. If price is going up and volume is going down, bearish. If price is going down and volume is going up, bearish, okay? When volume and price are disconnected from each other, it's generally bearish. When they're connected, it's generally bullish, okay? So volume down, price down, good. Volume up, price up, good. Opposite is true for bearish, bad, right? What's some other stuff? Like, look, I mean, that's one thing. So I know that at the beginning of the video I said that I was going to break down a couple things, but I think this alone is just a solid enough message. We all need to understand, and I'm not saying that this is specifically happening on AMC 100%, whatever. The float has been owned 5 times over by retail or whatever. Look, man, I'm looking at the price action and the volume that's on the chart and helping us understand that. That's my goal, because that's all that we can really control. Now, if you want to look at, like, deeper stuff, you can look at Bigums, you can look at Astro, you can look at guys like that, and they're digging into the deeper stuff, but that's not what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to educate retail traders. I'm trying to help retail traders understand the way that the market works a little bit better. And through technical analysis, I believe that we can accomplish that. So that's pretty much the video for this. I'm going to do a technical update later. I need to do that BlackBerry video because it's a great example of all the stuff that I'm talking about. But consider this a foundational video. And maybe you can come back and look at it and use as a tool to remind you of how it is that institutions can control the price of assets, regardless of if they own the lion's share of them or not. And then also, I'm sure at a certain point, like, and most people who are going to comment this sort of thing probably won't watch this video this long, but some people would say, well, is that moral? Is it right that they have the ability to do this? I mean, I'm not really, I guess it's complicated to answer that question, right? Like, because it depends on, at the end of the day, it comes down to like property rights and what you believe about property rights. And if you think that the society as a whole should have access to the same assets that another like entity has accumulated over the course of time, and however that happened or whatever. So it's kind of a political question, I would say. And I'm not here to cover politics. I'm here to exist in the system that we exist in right now. Maybe one day we can shift into like what's right and what's wrong about it. But for now, I think that it's important for us to understand the other side, so that we can strengthen ourselves and become more powerful within this market. So hopefully you learned something, or at least you gained something from this. Maybe not learn. I don't know if this is educational or not, but you know, you get the idea. Hopefully you gained something from it. And if you did and you enjoyed the video, subscribe, hit the like button, all the YouTube things, and comment your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you made it to the end before you comment something like, well, they shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that's a much more complicated discussion that I'm not having. I'm just analyzing charts, okay? So, all right, you guys have a good one. Later.